Number 2, oh, that's 3 fingers. That can go in the start. Alright guys, Pitbikesonic here, and in today's video we're talking about something a little bit different. Because everything's pretty much set, ready to go for Spain, I haven't really got any pit bike content this week, so we're going to talk about something that's pretty close to my heart. I've been racing in the Fab Championship, well, since forever really, so I've seen a lot of youngsters come through the ranks throughout the years. People like Scott Redding, Bradley Ray, Rory Skinner, Kyle Ride, and many others that I can't remember off the top of my head, but I've seen loads. And one or two of them have made it all the way to MotoGP, but not all of them. And I'm here today to tell you guys why aren't more of our riders making it to MotoGP, specifically British riders. So we're going to talk about today my 5 reasons on why us English or British are not making it to MotoGP. We haven't had a full-time British MotoGP rider since 2020 when Cal Crutchlow retired. We haven't had a winner since 2018, which was also Cal Crutchlow. And we haven't had a MotoGP / Grand Prix Championship winner since way back in 1977 with Barry Sheene. A lot of you guys would be scratching your head on why we don't make it to MotoGP. When you look at it from the outside, we have probably the best national bike series in the world. British Superbikes is, in my eyes, the best national series in the world. It gives the most exciting racing, I think, and if World Superbikes, MotoGP and British Superbikes are all on in one weekend, the one I normally want to watch first is British Superbikes because it brings the best racing, and that's across all classes, all the way from the Superbikes all the way down to the youngsters in the British Talent Cup. The racing there is amazing, so I like watching it live, and I also like watching it on TV. So that's another big reason about why do our guys not make it to a higher level. So, number 1 reason I think our guys don't make it to MotoGP, and it's probably the most obvious one, and that is the British weather. Unfortunately, guys, if you don't live in Spain, Italy, or any of these other hot countries around Europe where it seems most of the MotoGP riders are from, like Italy and Spain, we don't get 365 days a year of sun. Unfortunately, from probably late September all the way till March, we have quite a lot of rain, so that stops youngsters from going out and like going to practice all year round, where a lot of youngsters in this country, they do go out in those months, but you're not really learning a lot racing around a Stretton circuit in -2 weather. Where Spanish and Italians, you'll see videos of them out in their winter and they're going around go-kart tracks on their supermoto bikes, or just testing 600s and things like that, just keeping themselves in like prime condition. Where some of the Brits in this country do go out to Spain and test in the winter, but for a lot of people it's not affordable and they can't obviously take youngsters out of school for that long, so it does make it a lot more difficult. So yeah, that's the first one really. The weather, guys, we just don't have it in this country where we can be out on a bike 365 days a year. Number 2 reason why I think that we are not getting any Brits into MotoGP, and that is our tracks. Now guys, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Cadwell, Alton Park, Knockhill are really, what should we say, quaint. British tracks are brilliant, I absolutely love them. But you got to remember, guys, these tracks are nothing like Assen, they're nothing like Jerez, they're nothing like Aragon. They're not like any of these European tracks. Probably the closest track that you can class the European track to a British track is probably Portimao, because it's got all of the blind risers and different crests and things like that. But it's still worlds and worlds apart from tracks like Cadwell and Alton Park. And it's another thing where our youngsters, or all our national riders, they're riding around these tracks all the time. And don't get me wrong, if Marquez came to Cadwell or Alton Park, would he be able to keep up with, say, Tommy Bridewell or Glenn Irwin or Kyle Ride or Ryan Vickers? I don't think he would. Our tracks are very niche, and when transferring over, especially when youngsters are learning in the British Talent Cup, when our youngsters are learning to ride at places like Alton Park and Knock Hill, they're not learning the skills of what they should be learning when they're going around places like Valencia or Aragon or Jerez, or all these European tracks that the MotoGP riders and Spaniards and Italians that are going round all the time. So they're already on a back step because they're not learning the same sort of style tracks as what we have here in Britain. And a lot of you guys might say, well, if they can ride Alton Park, they should be able to ride at tracks like Valencia. It's a totally different thing. Trust me, it is totally different. So already these guys are getting on the back step where they're not getting to learn the European tracks. Third reason why I think we are having no Brits in MotoGP, and this might be a little controversial, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm not 100% up on it, but the ACU, or as I like to call them, the ACU. Now, the ACU are like the British body of racing in the UK. So they're the people who give out your licenses every year, make all the rules for bike racing in the UK and things like that. And I just don't think they do, or pretty much do nothing at all for youngsters or trying to help British riders get into the Grand Prix scene where I think they should be. So just take this into this year. The ACU are now supporting British mini bikes. They're a lot of youngsters go to ride. And British mini bikes have mini motos this year. They also have ovales. But ACU have selected approved tracks. And this year they have got mini motos and ovales going round Pembrey. Now, I'm sorry guys, but if you think that your youngster is going to learn to go faster around Pembrey on a mini moto, then that's not right, because they're pretty much going to be flat out all the way round. They're not going to be learning the thing. So pretty much the same for an ovale as well, which is a little bit bigger. Same with metric kits as well. It's just not going to work just because you've got to go there because it's an ACU approved track. Now, I think that's just totally ridiculous. These bikes that you're riding are designed for go-kart tracks and things like that. Why the ACU are not putting more money into, say, setting up a school and working with M4 karting, where they have days where, open days, where anyone can just turn up and they can put if they want to have a go on a mini moto, and they can just go round and have a go. They supply the kit and everything, and if they enjoy it, that's starting that stepping stone then for youngsters to go on and do bigger things, or have, just high bikes. It doesn't even have to be at M4 Kart, it could be anywhere in the country. But they should be doing things like that. Also, this year we lost Rory Skinner in Moto2, and the main reason we lost that, really, where he had a 2-year contract and he got kicked out after one. He got told at the start of the year he had no pressure on him. The reason he got kicked out is because the rider Ramirez came into the team and he probably brought a lot of money into the team. Why didn't the ACU help him out? Why did they not say, right, no, Rory, we're going to give you the money to pay for you to stay in that team? They didn't. So yeah, the ACU, I think, absolutely do nothing for British racing or youngsters in the sport. So guys, if I'm wrong and the ACU have helped you out, or anyone else in any way, please correct me wrong. But the ACU, yeah, I think they need to pull their finger out and help British racing a lot more. Number 4 reason why I think there are no Brits in MotoGP, and that is not because of you, because you are interested, because you're watching this video, but nobody cares. I had a quick look on Wikipedia, and motorsport in England is the 7th most popular sport in the UK, and that's not just bike racing, that's all motorsports. So, because you got to think, in motorsport, there are a lot bigger sports than MotoGP, because obviously Formula 1 would be above it and things like that. Yeah, so in this country we're not that interested in bike racing. You have to think, really, when's the last time you saw a British company as a sponsor on the side of a MotoGP bike? I can't really ever think of any in my lifetime. I could never see a British company going on the side of a MotoGP bike, like British Airways, Tesco's, Travelodge, BP. I could never see any of these companies going on the side of the MotoGP bike, and like I said, it's because I don't think they're really bothered. I think they prefer to see themselves on a logo, on a football shirt, or a Formula One car, or on the side of a rugby top, or on the side of tennis billboards. I don't think they're too worried about going on MotoGP bikes. Also, guys, we're not on terrestrial TV, which is another big thing as well. Don't get me wrong, guys, TNT do an amazing job with their TV coverage of MotoGP, but it's something you have to pay extra for, and if you're not a fan of MotoGP, you're not going to pay that extra for it, so you're not getting new support in England as well, because they can't watch it, they can't just turn it on and sit and watch it. They've got to pay extra for it, and if you're not a MotoGP fan, you're not going to pay for it, are you? So we're not gaining new support either. So that is my fourth reason on why I don't think we have Brits in MotoGP. So reason number 5 why I think there are no British riders in MotoGP. Unfortunately, guys, bike racing is very expensive, and unfortunately it doesn't matter how talented you are these days. At some point in your career, you're going to have to bring money to a team to make it all the way to the top. In Moto3, there are going to be some people that are paying €200,000 plus to be put in a Moto3 team. And unfortunately, in this country at the moment, when you have to get a mortgage out just to get a pint of milk, and every time you take a breath, you're paying tax, unfortunately, for a lot of people, this is not possible. So this really means that parents have to put a lot of dedication in and a lot of money in, that one day their child is going to make it to the top level in bike racing. Also, when you think about it, guys, how many riders in this world are actually making a living out of bike racing? I reckon it's less than 100. All MotoGP riders are obviously all making a living. I'm not 100% sure if all Moto2 riders are making 11. I bet there's a few in there that have paid for their rides. And there are certainly quite a few Moto3 riders that have definitely paid for their ride. Also, in World Superbikes, I definitely wouldn't say all the riders and that are making a living out of that. I would say the majority of them are, but I wouldn't say all of them. I bet there's no riders in World Supersport that are making a living out of it. It's well documented that most of the riders and that have had to pay to be there. And also going all the way back to BSB, I reckon there's probably 10 on the BSB grid that are making a living actually out of bike racing. So when you look at it in the wider picture, it really does cost a lot of money to be riding as a professional bike racer in 2024. So guys, they were my 5 reasons on why I don't think there are any British in MotoGP at the moment. Hopefully things are going to change, guys, and we will get a Brit in MotoGP soon. Comment below who you hope will be our next British rider in MotoGP. Do you think it's going to be Jake Dixon? Do you think he's going to be able to make that step up from Moto2 and make it into MotoGP? It's a really big year for Jake this year in Moto2, and he will be hoping that he can win that championship. We've got also youngsters a bit further down. We've got Scott Ogden and we've got Josh Watley in the Moto3 class. And if we go even further down than that, in the European Talent Cup, we've also got Eddie O'Shea, Casey O'Gorman and Johnny Garnes, hopefully, if he can come back from injury. Another youngster I think that you should keep your eye out for is Ethan Sparks, but there's also loads of others as well that, fingers crossed, we can get through and hopefully have some British success in Grand Prix racing again. Cheers guys if you've enjoyed watching this video. Guys, comment down below if you've got any other reasons why you think there are no Brits in MotoGP. It'd be really interesting to hear your views and what you guys think. Guys, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that button there. And if you want to watch more videos, hit this button here. Once again, guys, thank you to all my Patreons, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.